I have always been told that I have a lot of hair. Hairdressers have commented on it my entire life. But as I've gotten older, I do notice that I'm seeing a little more scalp around my hairline than I was used to seeing, and more scalp is showing in the back when I'm editing my videos and I'm blow drying and diffusing. So today I want to talk about a confusing subject, and that is hair density and hair porosity. And the research that I have done on the subject to hopefully help us Wavies better understand our hair from the perspective of someone that is in her almost mid-50s and currently going through menopause. I am also going to do a little bit deeper dive into why certain ingredients work and break down low, medium, and high density as well as porosity, and what you should be looking for when shopping for wavy haired products. Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to the La Paz Bound. So I originally started this channel, La Paz Bound, to document our journey toward moving to Mexico. It was pets and La Paz, Mexico, La Paz Bound. So my husband, Don, and I, we've been slowly working through the painful process of downsizing, deciding what to sell, what to donate, what keepsakes will make the trip with us. Along the way, I also decided to embrace my natural wavy hair after decades of fighting it. What started as a personal experiment has turned into a passion, and now I'm sharing what I'm learning about wavy hair, products, techniques, and finding what actually works. Okay, I'm going to start with defining hair density and hair porosity. Hair density, as I understand it, is how much hair you have on your head. It's not about the thickness of your individual strands, but the amount of strands that you have. And like I've said, I have been told over the years, Nikki, you have a lot of hair on your head. Hair porosity is how well your hair absorbs and holds moisture. So let me break down these even further. Let's talk hair density first. You can have low density hair, meaning your scalp is pretty visible when parted or pulled back into a ponytail. Your hair usually struggles for volume, and when you pull it into a dry ponytail, the circumference is less than 2 inches. Medium density is where most people fall. You have an average amount of hair on your head, and you may see some scalp when your hair is moved or is parted. A dry ponytail circumference, typically between 2 and 4 inches. High density hair, you got a lot of hair on your head. You see very little scalp when you part your hair. Your hair can feel heavy, and it typically has a lot of volume. When you pull your hair back into a dry ponytail, you got some girth. We're talking like 4 inches or more in circumference. Here's a picture of my hair looking at the crown. Now, initially, you'd probably say I have low density hair, right? Because you can see my scalp. And that's what I thought at first too. However, when I asked my husband to measure the circumference of my ponytail, this is what we saw. A nearly 4-inch ponytail. That's pretty hard to argue with. I'm actually sitting right on the border between medium-high and high-density hair. I have fine hair and on the cusp of high-density hair. So I have a lot of individual strands of hair on my head and a very full head of hair. But the strands themselves are very thin in diameter, thinner than a string of sewing thread. And when I think about it, it makes sense with what I've been told over the years. Hairdressers, they've struggled with my hair. I've struggled with my hair. I have a unique texture, fine and dense. And it's no wonder that I have struggled to find the right products for my hair type all of my life. Heavy creams and leave-ins, they just weigh down my hair. And that's not because of density, but because my strands are fine. I can use a decent amount of mousse because I have borderline high density hair, and it takes more product to move through all of the strands of my hair. I also have the potential for a lot of volume when I use the right products. When I don't have enough structure and hold in my hair, my fine strands, they separate. My wave clumps, they break apart. My hair gets fluffy and I see more halo frizz. My hair can look bigger and less defined. Picture lots of strands of hair this way. You have 100,000 people leaving a stadium after a concert. There's no crowd control. There's no signs, there's no plan. Everybody just spreads out different directions. That's volume, chaotic volume. Now imagine those same 100,000 people leaving through designated exits with a staff directing. Same number of people, same stadium, completely different results. That's structure. Without structure, my people strands start doing their own thing. The sweet spot for my hair is defined waves, airy volume, good root lift, and a lightweight feeling. It's why my hair likes mousse. It lifts my hair at the root, and it provides shape without leaving a heavy film on my thousands of strands. High quality, lightweight gel provides hold and definition. The gel, it binds to my fine hair strands and turns frizzy, chaotic volume into structured, defined waves. Now let's talk porosity, which is how well your hair absorbs moisture. It's how easily water gets into your hair and how easily it leaves it. And it's trickier than density. But just like density, it also has low, medium, and high measurability scale. Low porosity hair often means that water tends to beat up on the hair and takes longer to penetrate the hair and get wet in the shower. It's the same with products. They just kind of sit on top of the hair and they can often build up on the hair. On the opposite end is high porosity hair, where water absorbs immediately into the hair, as do products. Hair gets very wet quickly in the shower. Hair can also feel dry between wash days. So my hair tends to sit in the middle of that spectrum. It gets wet very easily in the shower, but it takes a long time to dry naturally and with products in it. I mean, naturally, we're talking like 7 hours. With no product, it dries faster, but it's very wispy and has a lot of flyaways, which has less to do with porosity and more to do with my hair needing structure. My hair also absorbs and responds to products. Some conditioners are just too much. Some shampoos work better than others. Mousses perform differently. Those hydrolyzed proteins can improve wash day hair results for my hair. Because I have a lot of medium to high density fine strands, my hair holds on to water. Based on all of those observations, I bet my hair is medium porosity. While my hair doesn't necessarily look great on day 2, it feels good. It's not dry, it's not greasy. My scalp, it doesn't feel like it's overproducing oil. And my products aren't building up rapidly unless I'm testing heavier formulas. Medium porosity hair tends to have that sweet spot, that relationship with products in that they absorb reasonably well, they don't sit on the surface excessively, and they don't disappear immediately. As a result, buildup often accumulates more slowly than it does on very low porosity hair. My age and platinum gray hair may also be contributing to less oil production. Since I'm in menopause, my estrogen, it has greatly decreased. And my roots are less oily, and I can go longer between washes, although it's not very pretty. And I clarify maybe once a month unless I'm testing heavier products. I'm not as concerned about my hair porosity as I am with my fine, dense hair. I've come to some pretty big conclusions over the last few months about how my waves behave. More than anything, I've learned that my fine strands have the biggest impact on which products work for me. It's nice to know these things as it helps support my research and why my waves behave a certain way with products. But I figured out pretty early on in my ingredient testing and my research that lightweight products behave best with my waves. But now I have even more knowledge and evidence to support the why. So let's talk shopping for products and what you should be looking for low, medium, and high density hair, as well as low, medium, and high porosity hair. Okay, for low density hair, your goal should be to add fullness without weighing the hair down. And you're gonna wanna avoid heavy creams, butters, and rich oils. And also remember that the order matters in which the ingredients are listed on a product. So if shea butter is at the top of the list, I would avoid the product. Instead, you're gonna wanna look for lightweight products such as mousses and foam. Look for polymers and copolymers, which will give you hold and volume and conditioning and structure. Look for your Polyquats 4, 10, 11, 55. Look for lightweight proteins like hydrolyzed rice, vegetable, corn, oat, wheat proteins. That's just to name a few. These are going to add body and support wave formation. Look for the ings. These are your small proteins called amino acid, glycine, serine, proline. They condition and support your hair without stiffness. The goal is to keep your waves from collapsing throughout the day. Medium density hair, it's all about balancing moisture, volume, and hold. You also don't want the heavy oils and the butters, but you need to smooth your cuticle with lightweight silicones like Amodimethicone. Other lightweight conditioning ingredients include chlorides. These are good for detangling, reducing frizz, and adding a slight bit of slip. They're great for fine strands as they don't build up and they don't contain heavy oils. You also want your polyquats, your proteins, your amino acids. Polyquat 11 and 55, which is what my hair really likes. Polyquat 11, it gives me flexible hold, and Polyquat 55, it gives me humidity resistance and curl memory. Polyquat 4 and 11, that's for low density hair, and that's going to give you stronger hold, volume, and structure. High density hair, so I am on the cusp of this, and the goal is structure throughout the hair. You want stronger holding polymers and flexible gels. You don't need heavier products. You have a lot of hair and you need to get those products through all of those strands. You don't want to just coat your hair or have the products stay just on the outside. You want to evenly distribute the product. So you need a bit of slip so that those products can move more easily throughout your hair. And just like medium density, look for amodimethicone and chlorides, lightweight conditioning ingredients. But you got to be careful though, you don't want too much slip. You need to balance the slip with the structure. Polyquat 10 paired with chlorides and amodimethicone, these will provide lightweight conditioning with structure so that you can evenly spread the products throughout your hair. Like the lightweight hydrolyzed proteins, your amino acids, your polymers, and your copolymers. Okay, on to porosity, how your hair interacts with water and products. With low porosity hair, the goal is to get in moisture without leaving heavy coating. We haven't really talked about humectants yet. Think of them as moisture magnets. They attract and hold water. And one of you commented on my Better Budget Wash Day that you noticed aloe vera in a couple of my products and that my hair must really like it. Good eye. And you're right. What aloe does is it improves the slip so that I can get products evenly distributed. It adds moisture to my fine strands without weighing them down, and it makes my hair feel soft but not greasy. It gives me moisture without relying on heavy oils. Another humectant that I often see in my products is glycerin, and it's found in a lot of shampoos and conditioners and styling products. It is a humectant, and it's meant to attract and hold water, but it gets a bad rap in high humidity and very dry air. So I live in Florida where humidity is high most of the year, and glycerin can attract even more water to my hair, and it will give me poofy, frizzy hair. But this is where formulation matters. When glycerin is paired with hydrolyzed proteins, amino acids, silicones, polymers, copolymers, you then have balanced moisture, support, and structure, which is what fine wavy hair needs. Back to porosity. Low porosity, the goal is to moisturize without coating the hair. Get in that aloe vera and glycerin and make sure to pair it with structure. Amino acids, silicones like amodimethicone, and hydrolyzed rice, wheat, and oat proteins. Medium porosity hair, just like medium density hair, it's all about balance. Balancing how your hair interacts with water and products. You want a healthy amount of moisture. If you have too much moisture, you're going to get those soft, stretched out waves. And your hair may end up feeling gummy, like sad spaghetti. Not enough moisture, and it may look rough and feel like straw. You have to balance the moisture with structure and look for well-rounded formulations. Just like low porosity hair, medium porosity hair also benefits from the same ingredients: aloe vera, glycerin, amodimethicone, hydrolyzed proteins, polymers, and amino acids to support structure. Slip to get those products through your hair, and structure to help with wave formation. The one ingredient that medium porosity hair can tolerate better than low porosity hair are heavy butters. That's why when shea butter is listed in my Oribe mask, way down on the ingredient list, my hair can tolerate it better than someone with low porosity hair. But it's just one ingredient in a balanced formulation. And in small amounts, butters and oils can improve softness without weighing down my medium porosity hair. For high porosity hair, your goal is to retain moisture. If your hair is coarse or damaged, you could benefit from heavier oils and butters. The hydrolyzed proteins, they can also help damaged hair. So one thing that helps high porosity hair hold on to and retain moisture is ceramides. Ceramides can help smooth damaged cuticles, damage from over-processed hair, like when I used to bleach my strand for highlights. One distinction that I want to make is that humectants like aloe vera, they attract moisture to hair, whereas ceramides, they retain the moisture. They help seal your cuticle so that the moisture stays in. Ceramides are easy to spot in ingredients. They almost always have ceramide in the name. Like my Oribe mask has ceramide in G, and they are common in conditioners, leave-ins, and hair masks. Ceramides can be very effective in low concentrations and further down on the ingredient list. But just like low and medium porosity hair, you need to have well-rounded balance of ingredients. You still need your polymers, your proteins, and your amino acids. Okay, so I talked a lot about ingredients today for hair density and hair porosity. I've talked about strand thickness. I have fine, wavy strands, but I have a lot of them. I'm on the border of high density hair. I've got a lot of it. My hair really likes lightweight balance of ingredients. It likes a little bit of slip so that I can really get that amodimethicone and aloe vera and polyquats, hydrolyzed proteins, can really get them into my strands. It's not about shopping for one ingredient or one characteristic. It's not about prices of the products either. It's about what ingredients my hair likes and the outcome that I want to get out of my hair. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information useful. Remember, I am not a wavy hair specialist. I'm just doing my research and sharing my knowledge with you on what works for my hair type. Every head of hair is different, so what works for me may not work for you. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hasta luego, my friends.